as you can tell, it's just a little bit more detail, more colors, right? This one look more a little, this one looks more washed, and this one looks more, you know, colored.
Message.
What's up, y'all? JoJo here. Welcome to the channel. It's been a while. So in today's video, if you haven't read the title, I'm gonna be editing a photo that I have taken inside the club. I've been doing a lot of club photography content on the TikTok, which you can go check out as well. And today's video, I decided to do an editing of how I edit the photos, right? Now, I do want to remind you that I will be uploading some of the videos that I do on TikTok onto YouTube as well. So I'm gonna give you guys a walkthrough. As you can tell, if you can see it on the screen, I have it on the screen here, right? So in today's video, so this is how we're gonna start. We got the photos of the ladies, right? And okay, of course, if you have any questions in regards to club photography, nightclub photography, definitely drop it in the comments below. So let's get started. Now we got the photo, and I used a, let me show you. I used a 28 millimeter. Shutter speed was at 1/160. Aperture is at 2.8. ISO is at 1000. And I shot with a Sony A7R5, by the way. Okay. In some instances, right, what I noticed is that, like in this photo right here, I'm just gonna have a clean, you know, everything is raw. I'm just gonna use the settings that I think, you know, works for this photo, and I'm gonna apply the same thing to all the other photos. So, and oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing some behind the scenes footage as well, so you guys can see how it is when I'm taking a shot. So we got the ladies right here, and what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna put this over here. I'm gonna save this for later. All right. So the brightness on this photo is not bad at all whatsoever, and that's because I decided to make sure my flash and the exposure were set properly. Now, if we lower the exposure, it brings more darkness to the photo, right? But I want to keep it where it was at. We're gonna go back to 0. And as you can tell in the background though, right, the ISO was at 1000, so it allowed more light to come in as well. Now, if I had a lower ISO, the background would be much darker and the subject would be the only thing that's being exposed. So let's get into it. Now, if you're a beginner editor, you can click auto, which in this case, it does a little, you know, to me, I know when someone's using auto. I don't prefer to use auto. And as you can tell, it just does a little bit more to the photo. It kind of brings out like, I would consider it to be like a zombie type look, right? And we click it at auto, you see, although you can click auto and it gives you something to work with, right? You can kind of bring back the highlights. You can lower the shadows, and you kind of see where I'm going with that. It kind of brings it back more to life. So if we want to go with auto, we can do that, and then bring it back to life. Now, let's get out of auto. We're going to back out of auto, okay? And we're going to keep the exposure the same, keep the highlights. We can bring it down just a bit, okay? And I think the shadows, you see what I'm talking about? If I had a lower ISO, the background of that photo ISO would be much lower. But we're gonna keep it the same. We're gonna bring the whites. Let me see. I'm gonna bring the whites down. No. I mean, when we you bring the whites down, what it does there, I notice is it kind of takes some of the exposure of where the flash hit the subject. It brings it down just a little bit. And the blacks, yeah, I think that's okay. So we're gonna do it before and after, before, after, before, after. All right, and then we're gonna go to the S curve. Now, if you're not familiar with the S curve is probably, the most simplest thing. You just want to create an S, right? So we're gonna do that. We're gonna bring the highlights up a bit, and then we're gonna go. We don't want to go too high, because you can tell we go too high, it's overexposed. We're just gonna go a little bit. And then we're gonna go down here to the shadows. We're gonna bring it down just a bit. You don't want to create a huge S. You don't have to create like a huge S, right? And plus, we're in a darker environment, so you don't have to do too much. The midtones, we can do something with the midtones, but I'd rather, keep it neutral. And then I typically, when it comes to the darks, I kind of lift the blacks a little bit. I lift it, and then what it does is it gives like a more little cinematic look, but I just do it softly. I don't do too much. And what it does is it kind of, it pulls the blacks, it pulls the blacks just a little bit. And then I kind of do the same up here. I do the same with the lights, if you want to call it that, because I can't remember what that is. And if you don't remember what it is, the highlights, right? You just go over here, and it pretty much shows you shadows, darks, lights, highlights, okay? And we're just gonna make the photo pop because I shot it in RAW. And the profile I got it set to is color. Oh. Yes, I got it set to color. You can also set it to standard, but I prefer color at the moment. Okay. We're gonna go back. All right. So I'm not sure what just happened. It's almost like it just froze on me. One second. All right, we back to normal. I'm not sure what just happened there. And after I sometimes finish with the photo in Lightroom, I go into Photoshop, which is something that we probably gonna do as well. All right, so the color mixer, to me it looks perfectly fine. I shot this in auto white, wait. I shot this in 5100 Kelvin, I believe. And I did that accidentally. I didn't know it was set to 51 Kelvin, although since in this environment, it's kind of hard to explain because they have like these little, I don't know how to call, I don't know what to call them. These little shade blockers, and they happen to be orange or like this little brownish color. So what's been happening is whenever I use the flash, it'll bounce off and hit the subject and create this little brownish look, a warmer look, if that's what I want to call it. Okay, so we're gonna go to, I think all of this is fine. It's balanced pretty good. Now, when it comes to the effects, you know, I tend to add a little vignette, not too much, you know, and I sometimes want to create this like this little soft look. So I just, you know, bring the clarity down just a bit. Let's see how that looks. Right, and we want to crop it in. We want to give it a 5x4 because it's for Instagram. 5x4, kind of get them centered. And what else? We could add some grain, give it more of a vintage, more, you know, look, but we're gonna keep it simple. Let me see. Yeah, we're not gonna touch that. We're gonna keep that the same. So I'm gonna give you the before. You know, that's the raw image, and then here's the after. You don't have to do too much, people. Don't overdo it. All right, when it comes to the sharpness, I do like to add some sharpness, but it's this method called, you know, you just hold it down Alt, and you just slide it to what you like. I think that's good for me. We're gonna do it in a 50. We're gonna keep it at 50. Right? Keep it at 50. And sometimes you could add some lens blur, and what that does is, let me show you. You know, some photographers do use the lens blur, and it kind of create more of a bokeh, give you more of a blurrier background. Now, if I do use it, as you can tell, I'm gonna show you. This is the before. You see, it's a little bit different, a little bit of a difference. And to me, honestly, it's not bad whatsoever. It actually does look kind of normal. It's just for me, it's hard to explain. I have a love and hate with this method. So if I did use it, I'm gonna give it a subtle blur, right? Very subtle, because that's what we're all about, being subtle. And we're gonna take that off. We're gonna go back to normal. If you have a decent lens that goes pretty low, like a 1.4, 2.8, 2.0, 1.2, you have nothing to worry about when it comes to the blurriness of the background. And then as you advance in photography, some people do focus on that area, but I don't think it's a priority. Okay, so we clicked on lens blur. We're gonna go to optic. Where's the optic? Optic. Okay, optic. And depending on what lens you're dealing with, you want to enable lens correction, okay? I think that helps out a lot as well. Now, we finished with the photo. Let me show you the before. We're gonna show you the after. See, perfect, right? Now, we're gonna go into Photoshop. I'm gonna provide you my settings. We keep it at 90, JPEG, dimensions. To me, small, but honestly, you can really go full size, and it's gonna be perfect, right? We're gonna do full size just for the video. All right, we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it in Passport. Now, it's very important, right, that you get, it's very important that you get a terabyte or a SSD or HHD, because what tends to happen is your computer, if you are in this space, will get full pretty fast, okay? So you want to make sure, you know, um, I'm gonna edit that part out so we don't even have to mind that part, okay? We're gonna go to test photo, and voila, this is our photo. And then sometimes if there's something that you want to change to the photo, you want to go to camera raw filter, and pretty much, it's kind of similar to Lightroom, but I do like to add a couple things. Like in Lightroom, if you're in regular Lightroom, it don't give you a calibration option, okay? And you can't see it on the screen because I didn't have this part recorded, but it has blue primary. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of the blue primary, simply because it kind of give more of a warmer tone, right? More warmer tone. And I put it at 14. What else? I think that's pretty much it for that video, for this photo in regards to the camera raw filter. I'm hit okay. And what we're finna do is we're gonna do some skin retouching, okay? Now, not everybody's into skin retouching, but we're finna do some skin retouching. Okay, we're gonna go up to the top, we're gonna go to actions. Let me do this. Okay, so now that we are in the photo, what we're finna do now is we're gonna do some skin retouching, okay? This is a retouching pack that I have that if you're interested, if you want it, definitely comment below. I'm not selling it at the moment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the Joe FS. FS only stands for frequency separation, and we're gonna click the basic, okay? We're gonna click the basic, and right now you can tell by, let me plug this in real quick, 1 second. This is a Wacom tablet, right? It's really for artists, people who do editing and stuff like that. Um, 1 second, guys. Okay. Excuse my language. All right. All right, so when it comes to frequency separation, right, you want to make sure your subject is not too blurry. You want it to pretty much get to how I go about it is, once it's too blurry to the point where it's unnoticeable, you don't want to get to that point. You kind of want to, keep it simple. I think around, I think maybe, we're gonna do 4.5. I'm cool with 4.5, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna click this arrow, right? And so if you want to go for high frequency separation, the high frequency separation layer, what that does is it get rid of some of the blemishes. If you have any blemishes, if you want to zoom into your subject, if you have any blemishes, we're pretty good in that space, okay? The thing is, right, since I used a Pro Mist filter, it's already gonna create this softness when it comes to your subject. And now, if I didn't use a Pro Mist filter, it wouldn't be as soft as it looks. And in some situations, I like using a Pro Mist filter during nighttime because it kind of illuminates the lights, kind of give it much more of a hazy look, right? And I think the mist filter I'm using is a 1.4 or my 8. Since I don't have it on there, I can't tell at the moment. I mean, since I can't look at it right now, I can't tell at the moment. So since the ladies don't have any type of huge blemishes, we're just gonna go into the low frequency separation layer. We're gonna click the eye, and what that does is it creates the blurriness that I was talking about earlier, right? And what I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna go to my mixer brush, and you wanna make sure that it's not anything there and pretty much transparent. So all you have to do is unclick this and just click this, and you're pretty much good. And oh wow, so the flow, we're gonna keep that at 10. And for the wetness, we're gonna keep it at, I like 5. I'm gonna do 5 today, right? It does change. This is not my go-to, but just to keep it simple. So we're gonna click the low. We're gonna go over here. We're gonna zoom in. You don't want to zoom in too much, right? You want to keep it simple. Get this out the way, and we pretty much is going to go over the subject. We're gonna click the. All right. So depending on if you have one of these, you can you can either use your mouse or you can use a pen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this a little bigger, and then we're just gonna color in. I'm gonna show you a before and after as well, guys, so don't worry. We're just gonna probably speed up this video. We're gonna speed it up. Alright. Everybody does the frequency separation. Everybody does it differently, okay? I'm just gonna do it my way. That's too big. I do like to get the light areas covered pretty well, and then I tend to go back over the dark areas. So we're gonna go back over the dark areas. Of course, it should be a little bit smaller, but since it's just for the video, we're just gonna keep it simple. Cause after a while, it's kind of really up to you, right? How you choose you want to do it. It's really up to you because you just know how to, create the separation. You see these little light areas, little light areas. Then we're gonna just get in there. And what it does is it's just kind of blending it. We're just blending it out. We're just blending it out to where the skin or to where it kind of looks even. Okay. Even. Okay. Very even. All right. We're gonna get over here in the neck area. I'm kind of doing this a little fast, don't get me wrong, but it's very simple, very simple. You see, we just blending it in, blending it in. Let me give you an example. So boom. Okay. Then we're gonna go over here and pretty much do the same thing. Get those super exposed areas pretty well. Over here, same thing. It's just gonna soften up the light, right? Now, if your subject is too exposed, right, there's nothing that the frequency separation can do because it's overly exposed at that point. So you kind of gotta just work with understanding the lighting when it comes to flash. Excuse me. And honestly, guys, I don't do this for all my club photos at all. I just do it for the ones that I think that I'm gonna post on my profile in case, someone wanna kind of like, it helps when it comes to like lifestyle shoots because sometimes people just want a quick lifestyle shoot. They don't want nothing, they don't want nothing to, they don't want nothing to, they want something like quick. If you're in a space of fulfilling conveniency, everything's gonna work out for you, right? And since, like I said, I used a Pro Mist filter, it's gonna already create like this little softness, this little haziness to your photo. All right, let's go over here. We're gonna get them biceps. Homegirl be working out. She got little biceps on her though for sure. We're just gonna soften that up, just soften it up a bit. She got little hairs here, which the thing is, that's just texture in a way, right? And even if you go over that, it's not gonna really do anything once you get it back to the normal subject. It's gonna be, it's not gonna do much to it. So you're pretty much good. Excuse me. I think we already got on her. It's just gonna, just create more of the softness. So, as you can tell, we're gonna do a before and after of the frequency separation. So, pretty much, you see, like in these areas where it's like right here in this area right here. You see where it's like blur. It used to be. Hold up. On their foreheads. Look at the forehead. Okay, one second. Look at the foreheads. You see how it's just like softened up a little bit more. It's not too much. It's not too little. And that's what, put that back in. So if I wanted to, let's say, make it 12, what that does is, let's see if I change the width to 12. So what that does is, we're gonna go back in there, and it just makes it look more softened up a little bit, right? Now, again, that's completely up to you, how you wanna go about the softening, right? Me personally, I just keep it in that space of like 4 or 5 and just go with it from there, honestly. I'm not trying to do too much. I just want to give y'all guys a little quick look at what I'm talking about. So, because you don't want them to look too fake, okay? Like that's not them. That's not how they look in real life. Even though that's what going to a professional is all about, right? They are going to take care of those blemishes and things like that. But you don't want to get it to the point where it doesn't no longer look like the real person, right? It's like, man, it's like it's like going to get like what's that surgery called that women typically go get? Like, what do you call that stuff? Like, where it makes you look younger. You see, in this part right here, this is really bothering me. I'm not gonna lie to you, because it doesn't look smooth as I like. I just want to smoothen that out. Anywho, all right, so we're gonna bring it back to life, and this is like I showed you, that's the before. Let me show you before, after, before, after. It's that simple, guys. Let's go to the original photo. All right, we're gonna export that one. Export as a JPEG. We're gonna keep the quality at 6. We're gonna export it. You can really up the quality, but the thing is, like, 6, I think is the 6 is the best, because what happens is Instagram is gonna already compress your subject. Compress the photo, right? So keeping it at that sweet spot of 6 is totally fine. Test photos, we're gonna just put Photoshop at the end. And then we're gonna go back to Lightroom, and this is the before, right? And what we're gonna do is bring up the photo that we just took. So we got that. That's the before, and this is the after. Let's bring it over here to the side. We'll bring the before, bring it after. As you can tell, it's just a little bit more detail, more colors, right? This one look more this one looks more washed, and this one looks more, colored, or it just has more detail. You can tell by the purse alone. This is more washed. This one has a little darker tone to it. The same with the blacks, the skin tone. Like I said, you don't want to do too much, right? These ladies are attractive, and it's not a lot that you need to do to it. Now, I personally don't know them, by the way. I just took their photo. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, man. Now, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the like button. If you want to know more about nightclub photography, drop it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer those questions. JoJo.